Hello and welcome. My name is Doug Digital. Today we're going to be taking a look behind the scenes at what I'm using to run my blog, blog.dougdigital.co.uk. We're going to be taking a look at the plugins that are fueling the site. So if you're interested in running a WordPress site in 2025 and beyond, I'm going to show you some of my favorite plugins that I have active. I will caveat this by saying the majority of these are free because after years of running blogs, both personally and for clients, I've realized that WordPress doesn't need to be as expensive as we make it out to be. And it also doesn't need to be complicated. So you're not going to find here very expensive plugins with a high barrier to entry. The majority of these are free with two exceptions that we'll go into. So I think the first place to start is we'll just talk about the themes quickly. So I'm currently using a theme called Astro, and this is published by Echo Themes that you can get on a place called the Envato Marketplace. So I go Echo Themes, Astro, and we can see here that this is a one-time payment of $49. You can, of course, add extended support for $13.88, but I think it's a very self-sufficient theme. So that is the theme that I'm using to run my blog, but we're going to take a look at the plugins today. So I'm going to go to my active plugins. So the first one that I have here is Active Campaign. So Active Campaign has been one of my historic favorites when it comes to email marketing and email automation. It has been now superseded by Go High Level, which is a more all-encompassing, all-inclusive, but I try to keep my blog as my test bed. But Active Campaign, why do you want it? Well, what you can do with Active Campaign is you can build your forms and your lead magnets, and then you can create a short code, which you then embed on your site, and that will then show the form corresponding to what you built in Active Campaign on your blog. The next one is one of our premium plugins. This is called ConvertBox. Now, if you're familiar with some of these site builders like Thrive Leads, there are lots of plugins out there that allow you to create what's called a lightbox or a lead capture form. A lot of them are monthly payments or annual payments, and in keeping to my mission to make WordPress as simple and self-sufficient as possible, this was a one-time fee. I bought it once a couple of years ago. I've never had to pay for it since. With this, I can create some really nice, really compelling lead magnets that either sit as a strip across the top of the site, they're a full screen takeover, a little sliding box, and I can create some really nice, really intelligent logic based on the visitor, based on the page, and based on their behavior. The customization is pretty cool, but for this is probably the biggest investment. So for you, this might be approximately $400 to $500. That may sound like a lot, but if you're buying it once, you can put it on multiple sites and you're not paying monthly. So if you run multiple sites and you want a lead magnet on every site, you could be paying, let's say, $24 a month, every month times 5. Okay, fine. 2 or 3 months down the line, and ConvertBox would have already been a better investment for you. So that is probably the biggest investment. Buy it once, get the pro version, never think about it again. Echo plugin and Envato are baked into the theme, that Astro theme that we showed you earlier, and it gives you two things. One is it gives you access to additional theme functionality, and two is it gives you nice updates all the time. Now we've got Folders Pro. Now there is a free version. This is one that I opted to pay for. Now what this does is if I open up my posts, you will see this little collapsible sidebar on the left-hand side. Now, it allows me to dynamically organize my content or put them into folders. So this one here, I can drag and say that was an editorial there. So really nice, really simple. You can customize the colors and palette of folders, and you can apply this to your media library, to your pages as well. So I can just expand that out there. Whoop, there we go. So I just find this is a neat and tidy way to organize my WordPress structure, particularly relevant if you have a lot of content. So that's one of my non-negotiables. You can get the free version. I think you'll be absolutely fine with the free version. Next up is Hostinger. Now, my WordPress site is hosted on Hostinger. I pay roughly £17 a month, and for that, I get the ability to create a WordPress site nice and quickly, and it's my preferred place for hosting most sites. Very speedy. It does bundle in a few extra add-ons, namely Hosting AI for using AI to create content, Amazon Affiliate Connector if you decide that you want to promote your products via Amazon, which I do not at the moment, and Lightspeed Cache. So they have a system to speed up your site. But what I found when I did this was it goes through a different third-party CDN, and I felt like while it did speed up my site, I found the build process to get that going a little bit frustrating, especially when I wanted to roll back and I wanted to change to BunnyNet, which is my preferred content delivery network, or CDN. So just keep that in mind. If you do use Hostinger, they're going to bundle in a couple of features. I keep Hostinger Tools because Hostinger Tools allows me to check that I've got the most up-to-date version, both of WordPress and PHP. I've got a one-click maintenance mode. I've got some features here which I've never touched before. And we've got forcing HTTP to HTTPS redirects, so you keep your site nice and secure. And I just find that it's, when using Hostinger, my preferred way to keep the site healthy and secure. So that was Hostinger. We then move over to Make. So I use make.com to run a series of automations. Let your imagination run wild. Imagine, if you will, that you create a blog post and you want to then syndicate that onto your social networks using ChatGPT to draft content or whatever your preferred large language model is. Using the Make connector allows me to hook up my site to Make so that it can listen for any changes, any updates, or anything exciting on WordPress to then syndicate to other platforms. Or alternatively, take other platforms, and then create content within WordPress. Presto Player. I'm going to take a swig of my drink as I tell you about my favorite video embedding tool. Double strength apple and blackcurrant juice. I love it. So, Presto Player. Presto Player is another of those that I bought once and I've never thought about since. So, Presto Player is great if you're hosting a lot of video content. The reason for that is it has built-in analytics, and you can, within here, you can choose your branding. You can brand the buttons and the player configuration. You can then enable analytics. You can have different presets if you're running a course or you want a nice minimal video player. Now, when we say minimal, think of this when you load a video and you've got a play button, volume, stop, start, a scrubbing area so you can change the player. This allows you to set up some pre-configured templates. So we've got YouTube optimized, etc. So that when your video plays on your site, you have more control over how it looks. What you can then also do is integrate that to other platforms like Google Analytics or YouTube or some other CRMs. In my case, I spoke about earlier, ActiveCampaign, and you can either use webhooks as well. Why is that useful? You can gate your video content. So let's say you've got a blog and you're talking about a really complicated process or an exclusive process, and you want that piece of content to be gated. Someone goes to the video, they'll have to input a lead magnet like an email address to gain access. You can then send that straight over to your email platform of choice. And you can see here, BunnyNet. So I use BunnyNet to host all the videos that I will then play via Presto Player. And then, of course, we have your performance tab just to improve the speed and performance of your videos. So really good if you're a course creator and you want to create content. Presto Player is fantastic. So Next, we have pretty links. This is probably one of my favorite general all-purpose plugins. Think of the times when you want to link out to an affiliate product or a campaign that you're running, and what you don't want is to have a really, really long URL. You want something branded to your domain and your identity, but you don't want it to be complex. Pretty Link's free version does everything you need without having to pay. Compare that to Bitly. Bitly, it has caps, and you have that bit.ly / and it looks a little bit spammy. All of my links will say blog.dougdigital / and then whatever I put at the end. I can get a quick sense of the number of clicks on a given link, and I can edit them after the fact as well. So let's say this Gumroad one here, I'll edit. I can see the native URL. I can see the pretty link version, and I can leave some internal notes as well. And if you're interested in keeping compliant, you can, of course, notify your web viewers that it is indeed a sponsored post. You can preserve link juice if you're SEO orientated, so that it's a no follow link. And you can enable tracking so that pretty links can track, but also you can pass on any parameters. So this would be, as they say, forward parameters passed to this link onto the target URL. In summary, let's say someone has come to your URL and they have appended their email address and you want to pass that on. So that let's say they go to a form and the form will then pre-populate with those parameters. You can forward those parameters on with a click so that you get that information through. There is a pro package. Again, I don't pay for this, but that gives you auto linking. So if you use certain keywords, Pretty Links will detect that and auto create that link. You get advanced analytics and you get a few other things as well. I really think for the most average of us, our users, of us, most of you will be perfectly fine, perfectly suited with Pretty Links, much better than Bitly. You don't have any caps. You still get a nice branded URL. And if you do want to pay, you can have Pretty Link payment links as well. I've never used them personally, but I think like you can see the clicks, you can see the traffic. I think it's very, very functional. So for me, that's always one that I recommend to anyone in setting up WordPress. We then have a SEO plugin. My SEO plugin of choice is Rank Math. Most people will opt for Yoast. I find Rank Math to be just a smidge easier to use. I find it very user-friendly and it hooks up all of my tracking and analytics quite nicely. This is one of those that I do pay for. So I believe this is roughly $79 per month. Not a huge expense when you think in the grand scheme of things, but certainly something to keep in mind. So with Rank Math, you have your Rank Math sidebar. Go to my dashboard. It will walk you through on the first setup some basic questions that you can answer even if you have no idea about SEO. You'll get your 404 monitor, any redirects, and you'll get a nice little bit of analytics as well. Now you can see that I'm not getting much traffic to my blog, and the reason for that is because I use it as a bit of a test bed. I use it for testing out tools, for tracking, and sort of dry running any ideas that I have before running them to clients. So if someone wants to install a new plugin, I'll install it first on my blog, see if there are any issues, see how I use it, see how much value it can bring before bringing that out. So that's one of the reasons why I don't get too much traffic. I get some nice numbers come through, but if I wanted to, I could go site analytics, check on the general health of the site, the SEO performance with a nice histogram. Let's have a look at that over the 90 days. That's nice. That's what we want to see. And if anyone in SEO is watching this or you're interested in SEO, here's how your SEO gurus can trick you. I will remove search traffic. That's a nice looking graph, isn't it? My search impressions are up. Well, according to this chart, my total keywords, according to this, are up. But my search traffic, I've had 2 clicks in Feb and 1 in April. So be wary if your SEO gurus are telling you, look at all the visibility that we're getting. Ask them about traffic. How much traffic am I getting to my site? Because this number is largely irrelevant if you're not getting anyone to actually click. Because what we can then do is we can go down to our winning posts and we can evaluate, okay, what's the traffic, what's the impressions, etc. Like this one here, I'm getting impressions. I've got a relatively okay position. So I'm 37 on, which will be page 3. But we're getting no search traffic. Probably because most people aren't clicking on page 3. They're going to page 1. Top 3 to 4 positions is what they're going to be clicking on. You can see your keywords and you can see a nice distribution of the keyword positions. You can get a specific dial in on those keywords, and you can get an index status of your site. So how many pages being indexed versus not, and so on and so forth. So Rank Math is a direct competitor to Yoast. Most people will have Yoast, but again, I just find that Rank Math, I prefer it personally. You open up your blog, you click on your little Rank Math icon, you get a little health check, and you get some nice tips on how to improve your article with some nice, plain, simple language that should be understandable. You can, of course, then edit the snippet, which is what appears in the search results, or you can use Rank Math's AI to generate some of that for you. That is another thing that they add, but write it yourself first, get familiar before you hand off. I don't want to get on my soapbox on AI, but I'll just say this. Use AI when you understand the landscape of what you're doing and you want to use it to make that process more efficient. Don't lean on it as a crutch if you don't understand the basics, because ultimately you should be using AI as a companion, checking and balancing your work rather than relying on it to do things that you cannot do, because that is where you run into errors and you have quality checks that you need to be on top of. That's my soapbox done. Let's go back to the plugin, shall we? So we had a look at Rank Math. We had a look at Pretty Links. Really simple security. Get this. It's free once again. And this will give you a quick check in terms of any vulnerabilities or potential vulnerabilities on your site and make sure that you are running your site in tip-top condition. Regenerate Thumbnails is a default WordPress plugin. I believe it's just simply to load quick, low-resolution images on thumbnails, etc. I've never had to worry about that. It's been on most sites. I just leave that. Sitekit by Google. Really helpful. That will sit in the little top left of your screen. You click on the dashboard and you get a nice little breakdown of your Google Analytics and Search Console data. And if you're unfamiliar with tracking, then you can use it as your first pass to get those tracking tools and tracking implemented on your behalf. Now, the next plugin is actually one of those where we depart from some of that out-of-the-box sitekit tooling, which is WP Code Lite. So WP Code Lite will add this little sidebar menu called Code Snippets, where you can go and add tracking code or scripts to headers and footers, or you can run dynamic snippets and code snippets on your site. So I use WP Code Lite because I prefer to use Google Tag Manager for implementing all of my tracking, all of my events, and any scripts that I would like to run. So WP Consent API is one that I've never personally used. I couldn't tell you much about it. But these are sort of the plugins that I use for my blog. These are, after about 10 years, the plugins that I generally recommend if people are just starting with their blog. There are more enterprise ones, but let me tell you a simple fact. And the simple fact is I pay Hostinger less than 20 quid a month to host and manage my site and keep it healthy, keep it up to date. And they have really great customer service if anything goes down. They have helped me numerous times. I then have, how many things do I pay yearly for? One, which is Presto Player. And otherwise, I have no monthly costs. Sorry, I said Presto Player. I meant Rank Math. So if you think, a lot of complex WordPress sites can have numerous plugins which create conflicts and create this deck of cards, the stack of cards, and you take one card out and the whole thing collapses. Keep it simple, keep it focused, your site will run faster, and it will be much easier to troubleshoot. These are the plugins that I would recommend if you just want to get started today. And I reckon with these, you could get started in as little as an hour. Now, the big ones that will take an initial cost is going to be your convert box. Buy it once, never think about it again, and you can install that on multiple sites. And Presto Player, I paid a one-off payment for that of about $150, and now I can use that as and when. And what was it? Rank Math Pro. So you could get away with Yoast for free, and that could be even easier for you. And then all you need to do, pay your hosting, done. And you've got a nice site that could be optimized for SEO. So if you have found this useful, let me know in the comments below. And if you think that there are some plugins that you cannot live without, let me know in the comments below. And I would love to know what they are, and hopefully we can do a future video on it. But keep in mind, this is a low cost, easy implementation of plugins that should serve the majority of you when looking to get your WordPress dialed in. There are a few honorable mentions, but again, they are premium paid plugins. The likes of Thrive Leads, the likes of, what else? Envato Site Builder. And there's a load of like site building pages and plugins, but my blog is my test bed. I'm not getting a tremendous amount of traffic, but for many of us who just want to start writing, but have some basics in place, I think this will serve you well. But if you have found this useful, I would love to know in the comments below. And if you haven't, I would love to know as well. So let me know your feedback in the comments. And until next time, I've been Doug. Ta-ra.